Good evening. Tonight in Sports Night, we're talking big names and big money. Riddick Bowe, the rightful heir to the World Heavyweight Championship, makes his first defense. Rate for the job, $3 million a minute. For Harry Butch Reynolds, $27 million rides on his honesty. Did the world record holder take drugs, or didn't he?
I have never taken any illegal substance in my life. Never thought about it, never wanted to, never had the opportunity I did want to. It's not a part of Butch Reynolds.
English football's $5 million man, Dean Saunders, is in action.
That's out looking for Saunders. He's being... Oh, he saw the goalkeeper off his line! That's unbelievable!
We bring you tonight's big game as Aston Villa go for top place away to Crystal Palace. And Jimmy White has another big payday in the Masters at Wembley. There's also Italian Cup football, the quarterfinals with Gaza in action, World Cup skiing from Japan, and a preview of the second test in Madras. But we start with the World Heavyweight title fight, the first defense for Riddick Bowe. It took place at the famous Madison Square Garden in New York City, where so many of the legendary names of heavyweight boxing had appeared down the years. They called it the homecoming for the new champion, a New York boy. As you know, I'm sure the fight didn't last too long. However, you may very well draw some conclusions as to whether or not Bowe would beat our Lennox Lewis. And anyway, the heavyweight championship is the heavyweight championship, and that means bags of ballyhoo.
We're live here in the Big Apple, Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, as Spencer Promotions, Madison Square Garden Boxing, and Main Events Monitor, in association with Caesar's Word, proudly present the homecoming, the heavyweight championship of the world. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of this scheduled 12-round title bout and refereeing his 51st World Championship bout, referee Joe Santarpia. And now, my good friends, introducing the principals. First, in the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with the white trim, he tipped in at an even 244 pounds. Professionally, he has 50 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, with 32 knockouts. He is ranked currently number 8 by the WBA and number 11 by the IBF. All the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, the former WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Dynamite Dokes. And his opponent in the red corner, wearing the white trunks with the red trim. He weighed in at an even 243 pounds. This young man is undefeated with 27 knockouts. He is the IBF and WBA heavyweight champion of the world from Brooklyn, New York. Here he is, Riddick Big Daddy Bowe.
How about playing the ring here, please?
Hey, Bill, get over here.
Gentlemen, you're boxing for the heavyweight championship of the world. You both know the rules. Are there any questions at this time? I want a good, clean fight, and I want you to protect yourself at all times. Shake hands now, and God bless you both.
So the moment for Riddick Bowe has come. The first defense, the boy from Brooklyn, on his own manor here tonight in front of his own crowd. Some 20,000 people packed Madison Square Garden for this first defense against Michael Dokes. Bowe undefeated in 32 professional fights. The courageous and deserving winner of the title against Evander Holyfield less than 3 months ago. And Dokes, now 34 years old, a former champion himself, the ex-WBA heavyweight champion from 1982 to 3. Scheduled for 12 rounds, unlikely to go that far. Dokes in the red trunks, the challenger. And Riddick Bowe, 2 inches taller and 1 pound lighter. These are two massive men. Bowe weighs 17 stone 5 and Dokes is 1 pound heavier. Bowe in front of his own crowd has every reason to try to look good tonight, particularly in the first defense. And that's a good, short, snapping right hand from Bowe. Dokes bulging at the waist. Fully expected that Bowe would make a quick start here to try and get this over quickly so as to make a big impression. That's a good right again from Bowe. And it brought Dokes to a standstill, and Dokes looks in trouble already. Bowe impassive. Facially reminiscent of the young Joe Louis, and he's doing a Joe Louis job here. We're barely more than a minute or so into this. And Dokes is in serious trouble. Joe Santapia, the referee, looking into his eyes, gave him a compulsory 8 count. And Bowe is going for the finish in the first. And another one staggers Dokes. Trapped against the ropes, there's no escape. There's under a minute left of this opening round. And Bowe is doing a sensational job here against the former champion, who looks altogether too old for the job. It's waved all over with 41 seconds remaining of the opening round. Dokes goes to the referee to complain, but his legs almost let him down as he went. And Riddick Bowe has defended his title for the first time just 85 days after he won it against Evander Holyfield. It wasn't a match. Most of the experts predicted it would be quick, but not too many people predicted it would be quite as quick as this. 41 seconds short of the first 3 minutes. But this man looked a good champion when he won the title. And at times tonight, such as it was, he looked sensational. He went for the quick win, and he got it. The Dokes corner, saying it was all too quick, but it looked to me as though Dokes was on very shaky legs at the finish, and he was only going to get badly hurt if it had gone on. Because Bowe was too young, too strong, and too good, let it be said, for Michael Dokes. Well, that's not the fastest heavyweight championship fight of all time, but it ranks up there among them. So, 33 professional wins now, 28 of them inside the distance. And this is how Riddick Bowe brought it all to a hasty end. There was nothing Dokes could do about it. This lumbering giant of a man just had to stand and take them. One after the other they rained on this man's head and body. When Bowe lets a punch go, he really does look quite sensational. He's got real star quality. And this was the beginning of the end as Dokes reeled into the ropes. There was nowhere to go. There was no escape. There was no place to hide. And the referee at that point had seen enough. He pushed them apart. And suddenly, Dokes knew that his challenge and his chance had gone. You can see for yourself the sort of punishment that was being meted out, and you can ask yourself, was the referee right to stop it? And my reply to that would be, he was absolutely right. The man was only going to take further and perhaps serious punishment. And Dokes, understandably distraught at such a quick end, but he got $800,000 for that.
Referee Joe Santarpia stops this bout at 2 minutes and 18 seconds of the first round, and the winner by a TKO, and still the heavyweight champion of the world, Riddick Big Daddy Bowe.
Well, the walls of Madison Square Garden resound to quite a bit of booing. Well, people have paid anything up to $400 for a seat here, and you can understand why they were disappointed in not seeing more action. But what they did see was a quality performance from Riddick Bowe and a less than able challenge from 34-year-old Michael Dokes, a man who twice has had to come back from drug problems.
Champ, that was an absolutely ruthless performance. Did you expect it to go as quick as that?
Well, I anticipated that if I jumped on Michael Dokes, I can get him out of there quickly. And I didn't see no reason to procrastinate and let this guy, you know, lay on me for 8 rounds and what have you. And I thought that being that he gave Evander Holyfield such a hard time in their fight, that if I knocked him out in the first round, that would be credit to myself.
He caught you with a couple of punches, did he? Did they hurt you at all?
I don't recall. I think he hit me with one decent punch, which was perhaps a left hook. But other than that, I don't recall him ever hitting me.
Is there any dissatisfaction at all about what happened there tonight? Because there were some boos, weren't there, in the crowd?
Yes, I believe they booed the referee, but I think a lot of people really don't understand boxing. Here's a guy who was out on his feet, and I think that it would be very unfair to let a man continue to fight who was very wounded, couldn't protect himself, and perhaps he would have been seriously hurt. So I think the referee was justified in stopping the fight.
Yet, of course, you came here being loved, you and him, hometown New York for him, and yet there were boos at the end of it, weren't they? Because a lot of people perhaps thought it was a, you know, it was a no contest, a one-sided fight.
Well, I think that needs to be interpreted properly in that I think the boos came as a result of the referee stopping the fight and the fans feeling deprived a bit of a little more action. Fans come, they want to see maybe more blood. I think the referee made a good decision. They were not booing Riddick, they were booing the decision to stop the fight.
So where does it go from here? I mean, who are you going to fight next?
Possibly Frank Bruno.
In London?
That's a possibility.
What sort of talks have you had about it, if any?
I actually haven't had too much talk at all. But I think that he would be he would be a marketable fight. And it would create a lot of interest with all else that is going on in the UK.
The commentary, of course, came from Harry Carpenter. The newspapers in America were universal in their criticism of the fight. It was simply too one-sided. Mike Dokes had a record on paper that appeared to give him some kind of right to be in that ring on Saturday night. Just 3 defeats in over 50 fights, all against world champions. He'd even held a version of the title himself and had recorded 9 wins in a row last year. In reality, he was too old, too fat, too far gone. Despite what they said after the fight, both Bowe and his manager Rock Newman know that to be respected as world heavyweight champion, you can't simply dredge up shot fighters to earn paydays. Or at least you can't do it more than once. What everyone wants to see, of course, is Bowe against Lennox Lewis. It could now be on. Lewis and his manager Frank Maloney held a press conference in New York today. They were talking business. They want $10 million guaranteed for Lewis, or $32 million, winner takes all.
That was Lennox's decision. He's very confident. He's $32 million confident. That's why he wants this fight badly.
Well, I realize that Riddick Bowe is a very greedy man, so he's in there to make money. So I'm offering $32 million. And I said to myself, winner takes all, why not? Yeah.
It's a very confident thing to do. I mean, do you feel like if there were a fight, you would definitely win?
Yeah, I do. You know, there's a lot more at stake than just money. There's honor and respect.
His management enjoys being the manager of the heavyweight champion. He actually enjoys acting like the heavyweight champion of the world, because he knows once he gets beat, Rock Newman becomes Rock Newman, the DJ from Washington again, and no one will speak to him, and that's his problem. He can't face that.
And what will happen if no decision is made by the time you leave for London tonight?
We will continue with our plan, and that's to fight Tony Tucker in the first 2 weeks of May.
Can you just tell me, is the Tony Tucker fight guaranteed that will definitely happen?
That is guaranteed. We have a guaranteed purse of $9.7 million to fight Tony Tucker in Las Vegas.
Did you see last Saturday night's fight?
What fight? I didn't, you know, basically the fight should have been stopped before he even went into the ring. I'm surprised that they allowed a fight like that to happen. I feel sorry for the New York people because they wasted their money to see it. And basically he's losing a lot of respect in New York and around the world.
We'll see what happens. The intended next opponent for Bowe, after the shambles of Dokes, had been Ray Mercer. He was Olympic champion at heavyweight when Lennox Lewis there claimed the super heavyweight title in the Seoul Olympics. And the only blemish on his professional career had been against the old champion, Larry Holmes. But on Saturday night, a journeyman fighter called Jesse Ferguson didn't read the script. Here's the last round with Mercer in the white.
And they come out, and I have to say Mercer comes out very reluctantly for the 10th and final round. For a moment I thought he wasn't even going to come off the stool, and certainly the corner have been trying to get him to go for this last round, but his reactions seem to say, I'm sold out. Anyway, here we go with the final 3 minutes, which might prove to be a major upset here if the man in the lilac trunks, Jesse Ferguson from Philadelphia, can keep it going and win this decision. He will upset a lot of plans, and he will have robbed Mercer, or perhaps more accurately, Mercer will have robbed himself of an opportunity to challenge for the big one, the title held by Riddick Bowe. Mercer has looked for the most part like a man in a dream tonight. He was open-mouthed early on, and he's boxed that way all through. He's hardly used the right. He's at last beginning to put it through, and you wonder why he didn't do all this before. And now Ferguson, it's his turn to take punishment as Mercer tries to salvage the fight. Ferguson looks as though it's a painful effort even to throw a punch. It could be that Mercer has to stop him or knock him out to win. Jesse Ferguson has done most of the forcing throughout the fight. He's hustled Mercer around this ring. He's trying to declare victory, still with 10 seconds to go. And we could have a major upset on our hands here. And Ferguson really finishes in a big way, full of style. And Mercer surely is beaten. And that will be a tremendous upset in the heavyweight rankings. Ray Mercer, the former WBO champion, only one defeat previously, stands disconsolately in the corner, while Ferguson and Ferguson's handlers celebrate victory.
Ferguson won, Mercer out of the championship reckoning.